So it's been a minute since I made one of these YouTube videos, but I'm trying to do something a little different here. And for this video, I want to talk about the weight of responsibilities as a man of God. I feel like this isn't really talked about much, and it's something that I've been wanting to read about, discuss about, and research about. So I made this whole note, these 2 pages, discussing about the responsibilities as a man of God. And when I'm saying responsibilities, I don't mean like the chores you have to do or like the things you have to do every day, or like just like small basic stuff that you would normally think about when thinking of responsibilities. When I say responsibilities, I mean things like leadership, stewardship, serving, trials, finances. And you don't normally think about these things, right? And that's my point. So the first point, leadership. Top role model, Jesus Christ, right? Jesus washed his disciples' feet and taught that the greatest leader must be a servant to all, as it states in Matthew 20:26 through 28. And we're going to go to Matthew 20:26 through 28 because I didn't write the whole verse down. 20, 26 through 28. But it shall not be so among you, but whosoever will be great among you, let him be your servant. And whosoever will be chief among you, let him be your servant. Even as the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life for the ransom of many. So, a good leader isn't the one who has power and control over everyone. A good leader is the one who is serving. He's out there serving, he's out there on the battlefield working. And to be a good leader, you have to serve first, serve everyone. Leading in a relationship, leading a group of friends, maybe your friends are straying away and going to all these different places, hanging out with the wrong people. You got to lead them, and if they stop being your friend, then it is what it is. You got to stand straight in your beliefs. Leading a platform, like me personally, I have a social media, and it is my duty as a man of God to lead my platform, lead my followers, and just not do it for the views or for the fame, but do it for the glory of God, right? Lead your family closer to Christ. Maybe you have your younger siblings, younger brothers, and you need to lead them, teach them about God. And yeah, leadership, that's one of the main topics. And second topic, stewardship. And that's something that I've been dealing a lot with lately, is asking God, how can I become a better steward? Like with my finances, with my platform, with my relationship. Because everything I have is a gift or a blessing from God. So I have to learn how to take care of it and manage it, right? So stewardship, faithful and responsible management of everything God has given us. Luke 16:10. Now let's go to Luke 16:10. Luke 16:10. I really love this verse because it's a great example of stewardship, and I'll just read it for you first. Luke 16:10. He that is faithful in the least, he is also faithful in much. And he that is unjust in the least is unjust also in much. So this basically means that if you are responsible with little, you are responsible with much. So if you can manage a small group of people, you know how to lead a small group of people, then you can lead a big group of people. And like, let's say your business is at a very low and you don't really have a lot of responsibilities in your business, but you're doing very good with that little amount that you have to do in your business, then that means you can be responsible when your business goes this high, right? And so that goes with stewardship. If you're responsible with little, God will keep increasing more in your life, more blessings, more money, more resources, more opportunities, right? And these are a lot of things that people don't think about. They just want to reach the destination. They want to make it big. They want to be successful, but are they managing what they have right now, like the small stuff? Third topic, serving. And this goes a lot with leadership. Serving, because to be a good leader, you have to serve, right? Using your gifts, talents, skills, resources or finances to serve others in need. And I wrote Matthew 25:40 because that's a verse I really like that goes with serving that I always think about. Matthew 25:40. Oh, yeah, Matthew 25:40. Yeah. And the king shall answer and say unto them, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye have done it unto one of the least of these, my brethren, ye have done it to me. So this verse basically talks about the least of me, like people who are homeless or people who don't have much, people who are struggling out there in the streets, they don't have families or they don't have jobs, the least of me. If you help the least of me, people like them, you have helped God because you're serving his people, right? You're taking care of his people. And so that goes with serving, right? It says the least of me because those type of people are the ones that are overlooked, right? Like people don't really look at those people on the streets with the cardboard saying in need of money, in need of food. And so we need to serve them just as much as we serve the people around us, right? And so Jesus, he washed his disciples' feet, right? His disciples. And Jesus showed good leadership by doing that because you would think his disciples need to be the one washing his feet. I mean, he's God, right? Like, oh, I'm gonna wash his feet. Lord, don't wash my feet. I'm gonna wash your feet. But no, he said he came to serve, not to be served, because he was the greatest example of being a good leader. Good leader is the one who helps others, not the one who needs others to help him, even though sometimes we do need others to help us. But it's just an example of being a good leader is putting others above yourself and having selflessness, right? Fruit of the Spirit. Fourth topic, trials and tribulations. And I put a great example of this one is Job. Now, I don't know if many of you know Job, but he was a righteous man, straight in the eyes of God. And he had everything, had all the cattle, all the blessings. He had a big family, lots of land. He had everything, right? But then came the tempter, the devil, and he was asking God that Job is only the way he is because of everything he has. So to prove that it wasn't true, that Job was a righteous man, not by what he had, but because of who he believed in, God allowed the devil to tempt Job by taking everything he had, his family, his wealth, and then his health, right? And in the end, it showed that Job was still faithful to God, even after everything was taken away from him. And after God gave him everything twice as big, his family, his health, and all the land, all the money, everything that he lost, he gained it twice as much, right? And so I put Job for trials and tribulations because, as men of God, we think that God is always going to protect us from things and we're not going to struggle, but that's kind of far from the truth. And I'm speaking from experience because I have gone through so many things the moment I started taking my walk with God more seriously. And so it's a responsibility that you're going to have to face sooner or later. The more you walk in this path of obedience and faithfulness, is that you're going to have trials, right? You're going to have tribulations, but they're all good for a good cause because they're meant to help you grow in your faith and to grow as a man of God, to give you that experience and that wisdom that you need to lead others. Whatever you may be facing now and you overcome it is going to inspire or help someone else behind you, and they're going to be like, if he can do it, then I can do it too, right? And so trials and tribulations is part of the weight that you're going to have to carry as a man of God. And the fifth one, finances. Treat money as a tool entrusted to you by God rather than your own. Matthew 22:21. Matthew has a lot of good stuff, man. It's one of my favorite books. Matthew 22:21. They said unto him, Caesar's. Then said he unto them, Give therefore to Caesar the things which are Caesar's, and give unto God those things which are God's. So this verse basically states, you got to give your taxes to the government, right? You got to follow the law, and then whatever you have to give to God, you have to give back to Him, right? So that goes with tithing, right? Give your 10% back to the church, to God, and pay your taxes, or else you're gonna go to jail, right? So you got to follow a law so that you can continue building your wealth. Otherwise, if you don't pay taxes, you're gonna go bankrupt, right? And if you don't give your tithing back to God, then how do you expect to be more responsible with more, right? This goes back to stewardship. If you want God to give you more, you have to be responsible with the little He gives you. So you still have to give your 10% back to God if you want Him to bless you even more, right? And a great example of this was the widow offering in Mark 12:42. I really love this verse because it kind of inspired me to give more to church. So Mark 12:42. 12:42. 12:42. And there came a certain poor widow, and she threw in 2 mites, which make a quadrant. Then he called unto him his disciples, and he said unto them, Verily I say unto you, that this poor widow hath cast more in than all they which have cast into the treasury. And that's because everybody else was given, a certain percentage of what they had. But the widow, she gave everything she had because she had faith, right? She gave everything she had because she has faith that whatever she gave in was going to come back to her. And this verse has really inspired me to give more into church because I know that God is my provider, right? So if He's my provider, why do I have to rely so much on what I currently have when I have access to God's kingdom, right? And so these are all responsibilities that we must take into account when walking in this path of obedience and faithfulness. And, living a holier life, being a man of God. And the last one that I wanted to talk about is very important, and that's why I left it as the last one. Your calling and your purpose. A lot of people think that God assigns us a different career, a different job, a different purpose to each and every one of us, but that's not true. We all kind of have the same purpose: to know Jesus Christ, have a relationship with Him, live a holy life of obedience and surrender, and to go out and make disciples of all nations, right? That's our one singular purpose that we all have. Now, how we go on about that purpose, that's where it's up to each and every one of us how we go on about that. We all have different gifts, talents, and skills to achieve this one purpose. So that's why we all have the same purpose, but we all have different ways of doing it, right? And so I wanted to talk about this, the weight of responsibilities as a man of God. It's going to get harder and tougher and a bit confusing, but at the same time you have to rely on God to get through every single one of these, to learn how to manage every single one of these, and to learn how to become a good leader, and that's something I'm doing personally right now. I'm talking from this through my experience. I'm 20 years old, and I'm learning how to become wiser. I'm learning how to become a better leader. I'm learning how to steward what I currently have, and I'm learning how to serve others through what I have. I've gone through trials and tribulations over the past 3 years. Ever since I dropped out of college, I moved into a different city, came back into my old hometown, learning how to manage my finances. This is all from experience and from God's Word. As you can see, I have my Bible right here, but it's in Spanish because I read it in Spanish. But yeah, that's something I wanted to talk to you guys about, to help you guys learn about what it takes to be a man of God. It's a lot, it's a heavy, what they say, heavy is the head that wears the crown. And being a man of God is like wearing a crown, because you are wearing a crown in heaven. And it takes a lot of responsibilities to continue to wear that crown every single day. You have to deny yourself every single day and let God work through you every single day. And this was basically the Holy Spirit talking today, because I don't usually talk this much. But yeah, if you guys have anything else to add to this, or you have any questions, just comment down below and I'll try to answer them. And if you like more of these type of videos, subscribe for more. I'm gonna try to post more about these type of things because I like to study about this. So yeah, thanks for watching.